What's up? Welcome into Under the Hood with me, Jonathan Hood. Thanks so much for downloading the podcast. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe what we do on YouTube, youtube.com. Look for Under the Hood with Jonathan Hood. It's one thing for you to be watching, but definitely share this video and all the shorts and everything we do on YouTube as well, youtube.com. Thank you so much for being with us. You know where we are right now on the 4th of September. You know we are in football season, not just college, but pro. Pro football is here. We had a great spring, we had a great summer, but now it's time for football season. And so we got a chance to talk to Jason McKie earlier on. You're going to hear that conversation momentarily. Jason McKie, your favorite fullback, the head coach for the Carmel Corsairs. He's a football coach, but also he is a sideline reporter for the Chicago Bears radio network. So we'll get a chance to hear from J-Mack and get his thoughts about this matchup as the Bears take on the Vikings. Interesting thing about this for me is that on one side with the Minnesota Vikings, you have KOC, Kevin O'Connell, the head coach for the Vikings, with a rookie quarterback in J.J. McCarthy. On the other side, you have Ben Johnson, who's never been a head coach before, but has been coaching at a high level as an offensive coordinator, now a head coach with the Bears, working with Caleb Williams. I think that this matchup is very intriguing just from that standpoint. Which head coach can get through to their young quarterback in this matchup on Monday Night Football? That's going to be, to me, a compelling watch. And also, that says a lot about the NFC North. Jordan Love, the quarterback for Green Bay, has been in that position for a couple of years. And Jared Goff is a guy that is the most tenured and probably the most accomplished, I'd say, for sure, in the NFC North. So I just think that Monday night matchup is going to be great. So don't forget to like, share, and subscribe what we do here on YouTube. And, of course, we're presented by Manscaped, manscaped.com. You know that you might have some problems down there. Manscaped.com. Use my promo code HOOD and save 20%. You say, Hoodie, what is that? Manscaped? Yes, manscaped.com. You go there because if you need some below-the-waist grooming, that's where you go. Why are you using like a razor? Let me take this down. Are you using like a big shaver or like a little razor that your wife would use? You're not doing that, are you? Don't do that. Use manscaped.com. You don't want to get nicked down there. Think about it. They take care of your jewels. They take care of everything else around it. It's Manscaped. You know how smelly it gets down there. Well, that's why I use Manscaped. And for the 5 or 6 ladies that might be watching Under the Hood with Jonathan Hood, that's a great gift for your man. Yeah, make sure you take care of him by going to manscaped.com. Find out more about it. Again, promo code HOOD. Save 20% off your order by using my last name, Hood. So on Under the Hood today, not only are we ready for the football season, I'm going to give you 3 games I'm very intrigued with for week 1 of the National Football League. Also, we'll talk about what's happening with Kawhi Leonard. What is going on with Kawhi Leonard? Have you heard this story about Steve Ballmer and Kawhi Leonard? Yeah, so it makes me wonder, is it true, based on the reporting from Pablo Torre from The Athletic, has it been true that Steve Ballmer and a company that he was involved with circumvented the salary cap to pay extra to Kawhi Leonard? Kawhi Leonard has not been interesting for years since he won the championship with the Toronto Raptors years and years ago, but now all of a sudden he's interesting again. So we're going to talk a little bit about that story and what that means for the NBA coming up. But boy, yes, it's going to be Ben Johnson. It's going to be Caleb Williams. I cannot wait to see what the Bears look like on Monday Night Football. And not just the game against the Vikings. I'm interested in finding out how this relationship manifests, how they're able to get along, these two, and how they can raise the level and raise the effing bar on this football team offensively with Caleb Williams and Ben Johnson together. And there's some things that Coach Johnson said in yesterday's press conference I thought was very interesting. We'll get to all that coming up right here on Under the Hood. But first, we're going to hear from your favorite fullback, Jason McKie from the Bears Network. We'll get his thoughts about the Bears and matchup against the Vikings right here on Under the Hood. We got to talk about the big game. And you know, when I talk about the big game, I'm talking about not the Bears and the Vikings. No, I'm talking about the Carmel Corsairs. Yes, we turn to the head coach of the Carmel Corsairs, is J-Mack. Your favorite fullback, Jason McKie, joins us on Under the Hood with me, Jonathan Hood. J-Mack, as always, appreciate your conversation. How you doing?
Good, J-Hood. Always good to conversate with you, man. I hope you're doing well. And I appreciate you acknowledging that there is another big game this week. I
Yes.
was on with Carmen Yurko. They just talked about the Vikings. Everybody just talking about the Bears and the
Nah.
Vikings. We got it's a game before that that's going to take place tomorrow. That's right here in the community that has big implications for both teams. So that's my biggest game right now.
Right here. No, that's the game. I mean,
Yeah.
this is the one we got to talk about. That big old Corsair right there taking on Lake Forest. That's the big game we got to talk about because that's going to take place on Friday, September 5th. Okay, so tell me about the season so far because for you as a head coach, all the games are big, J-Mac.
Yeah, it's been good. We played Team Grays Lake Central last week, another team that's in the community. Great environment, Friday night football, Friday night lights. They brought a lot of fans. You know, our stadium was packed. Student body came out. The teachers came out. Faculty, administration. So always appreciative of their support. Our kids played pretty well. Obviously, it's the first game. High school, there's no preseason. So, yes, we did have pre-snap penalties. Yes, we did have a lot of penalties. So we don't get preseason here, but we got to clean those things up. But also a good start, 1-0 where we want to be. And, you know, obviously leading in tomorrow, another big game, another great opportunity for us to go out there and show the state in terms of high school football who we are.
I love it, man. I love it for you because I know this is your heart. This is your soul right here to be able to put a great product on the field, these kids being able to learn. So all the best to you, man. I'm hoping I get a chance to go to a game. Is there a luxury seat? Where can I sit? Is there a luxury box for me to be?
Yeah, man. Well, Kap came to our playoff game 2 years ago, and we had him. He's right on the sideline. So, you know, he was right there with us. I even asked him, I said, Kap, you want to call a play? And you know, he just sat back and he was just grinning from ear to ear, enjoying it. And it was awesome to have his support, to have him there. It was pretty cool to have him come out and watch us play. And I know myself and, you know, my coaching staff and Rashid and Olin was there, and we were excited to have Kap on the sideline. So, Hoodie, you're welcome anytime, man. You get a front row seat. I might even let you call some plays.
I'm glad that I get a chance because I'm calling the fullback. I'm just going to make a kid run the fullback play. That's what I want. I mean, if you gave me the Kap, the kid would be running backwards. So at least I can call a play in which you're trying to get down the field. So yes, I'll be glad to do that for you. So I want to get your overall thoughts now because here we are, right? On Monday night, it's going to be the Bears and the Vikings. I want you to tell me out of everything that you covered the preseason games on the Chicago Bears network, everything that you've seen, J-Mac, like, what do you think of this year's team going into the season?
Yeah, I mean, it's a mixed bag right now because preseason, you only get a small sample size. You know, I think everything is vanilla in terms of scheme, offense, defense, special teams. Everything's vanilla. You know, offense, you're running your base runs, your base route concepts, your base pass protections. Special teams wise, your base coverages on kickoff, your base returns on kickoff return, and so on. And even defensively, you're not running a ton of things that you may run week one or you're going to run throughout the season because you don't want to give your opponent extra film to study and you want to continue to have a competitive edge, so to speak. So I don't really know. I think we're super talented, you know, on paper. I think we've done a good job of adding pieces, especially with the offensive line. We've added pieces on defense in terms of the defensive line. You know, we brought in more weapons, drafted a tight end, drafted a receiver for Caleb. And it's another year. He's in a new system, but he has another year, you know, going through camp, going through the preseason of NFL speed and NFL experience. So I think that'll play a part, and hopefully he grows from that. The more reps he's been getting, the better he should get. So we're hoping he takes that big jump this year. So it's really hard to tell. I think, you know, will we see Monday night, will we see exactly what this Bears team identity will be? I don't think so. I think it's going to take, you know, further along into the season to determine what type of team this team is going to be. Are we a physical team? Are we a finesse team? Are we a pass team? Are we a running team? You know, defensively, are we a team that just stops to run? Are we good against the pass? I think a lot of that stuff won't get ironed out until midseason, to be honest.
You know, speaking about being honest, you know what, J-Mac, that stood out to me the last press conference for Ben Johnson, and I'm a guy that's not caught up in words. I'm not. Like I'm not caught up in press conferences and quotes and gotcha. What I'm about is results. Like, what does it look like on the field? Are you getting better week to week? Are you getting better year to year? So all the stuff and the conjecture is not necessarily something that I'm thinking about. I do want to point out though that Ben Johnson mentioned in the press conference that, you know what, it's going to take some time for us to be able to gel because we're all new here. Me as a coach, our coaching staff, Caleb understanding the terminology, the offensive line, everything else. But at the end, on a mic drop, he was like, but there's no excuse for us not to win. And then he just walked off, right? I'm just like, well, that's a hell of a way to just mic drop the press conference. Like, yeah, we got a lot of work to do, but it's no reason why we can't win. And then he just went stage left. And the media was like, wait. And he was already gone, right? So what do you think of that? Because you know coaches lie. Coaches they don't owe the media anything, but I do find it interesting that Ben is forthright telling you, like, yeah, we're gonna start the season, but we got work to do. That's almost as honest as you can get as a head coach. Is that correct?
Yeah, I mean, there's always going to be work to do. There's development that's going to continue taking place throughout the season. I mean, this is a team that, when you in reality, you look at it, it's everybody's rookie year. New defensive scheme, new offensive scheme, guys learning a new system on both sides of the ball. Richard Hightower, the special teams coach, is the holdover in that phase, but I'm sure he's going to be implementing a lot of new things as well. So essentially, you may be a 9-year veteran, but everybody's still a rookie because schematically everything's new coaching staff, new everything, new schedule. So I think what he's saying is, yes, we got to get better. It's going to take time for this team to gel, but the expectation is placed upon this team. New coach got paid handsomely to be here. We brought on a lot of different pieces to help us get better. It's about the numbers. Women lie, men lie, but numbers don't lie. And that number in that win column, J-Hoods, it better be better than that loss column. This is the NFL. It's about what are you doing right now? So, yes, he can say we got to get better, but there's no excuses. We got to produce now, and so they have to win now. And I think that's what Ben Johnson was alluding to during that press conference.
Yeah, so there's 3 things that's on my yellow pad, some things I've been talking about all summer. Tell me which aspect of the Bears should I be most concerned about going into the season? Is it the pass rush? Because we have a lack of pass rush last year, definitely stopping the run. Is it the offensive line and the overhype over left tackle and Braxton Jones? Or is it running the football? Is there enough in the running room? Which one of those 3 should I be most concerned with going into the season?
Man, those are good questions. I think, I'm actually concerned with all 3 to see how it would work. But I would
Brother,
say,
I asked you for one. J-Mack, I need one.
I'm going to give you one. I think getting to the quarterback, talking about defensively, and you look at a team that didn't have a bunch of sacks last year. I don't know the exact sack total in terms of numbers we had. I think it was in the 50s, if I'm not mistaken. But the thing is, when you're implementing the style of defense that Dennis Allen wants to install there up at Hallis Hall, right? You talk about playing a lot of man coverage. Well, you better be able to rush, and the rush better be able to match the coverage. So if you're playing man, you're banking on that rush to get there. It's hard for an individual to play man when that rush isn't getting there. That receiver, that tight end, that running back who's out there running routes against man coverage is eventually going to get open if that defensive rush is not getting there. So you better be able to get to the quarterback. And I don't care what combination that you're using on that defensive line. If you're going, a rotational style defensive line or whatever, you better make sure the guys that you have out there get to the quarterback, especially in critical situations.
Yeah, so the number you're looking for was in The Athletic from Kevin Fishbane, and it was 8.5 combined sacks last season for 4 defensive ends because Montez Sweat only had 5.5 in 2024. Adingbo had 3. Robinson, Daniel, Hardy both had 0. Those are your 4 defensive ends. That has to get better. Like Adingbo, no matter what's being said, no matter that he got stood up, and I watched it back and forth a number of times, I put that to the side, J-Mack, and I said that's preseason. Now, when it comes to the regular season, he just has to perform. It's something that Montez is needed, just someone he could work with on the outside.
Yeah, and if I'm the GM and the Bears, I mean, yeah, you're saying all those things, but at the end of the day, you were brought here and paid handsomely to do what? To get to the quarterback. So I don't all that other stuff, it doesn't I paid you and I brought you here to get to the quarterback, to be a factor in terms of getting to the quarterback so that way we can run whatever type of coverage we want to run with this defense, because your job is to do what? To get to the quarterback. So if we're not doing that effectively, then this defense isn't going to be able to function.
So I'm looking at this matchup with the Vikings. And so what I like about Minnesota is that on both sides of the ball, I think their lines are solid, offense and defensive line. Their defense, it might be as good as when the Williams Wall was in and Jared Allen when they were getting to the quarterback. I think it's really solid. The offensive line is good. I think that might be a positive for McCarthy as a young quarterback. But when you look at the Vikings, what are some of those positives that the Bears should be wary of for this matchup on Monday?
Yeah, I think, with the Bears, it's the positive things that the Bears defense has going for them is you got a quarterback that's coming in, getting his first start, and it's on the road in your environment. A lot of things would be a factor. The crowd noise, NFL speed. Yes, he's played in the preseason, but it's a whole different ball game during the regular season. And you have to understand, right? I think defensively, and I know they're doing this. Coach Allen is a great defensive coordinator. He's putting himself in the mind of the offensive coordinator, right? He's putting himself, in terms of how this offense is going to try to attack us defensively, or how are they going to try to make J.J. McCarthy comfortable and successful, right? So when you look at that thing, when you have a young quarterback getting a first start, you want to get him in the rhythm. So simple throws, easy completions, half field reads, shore up the protection, get him comfortable. And one thing, I watched J.J. McCarthy's press conference the other day because I wanted to see some of the things that he was saying. And he talked about how Kevin O'Connell kept reiterating to him that to play quarterback in your first start, you want to make sure that you have success in the simple. And I was like, wow, that's pretty cool. And what that means is, taking the layup, taking the check down when it's there, taking what the defense gives you. The moment isn't bigger than yourself. Try to remain even-keeled. Don't do too much. Play within the system, and you'll be fine. The system is good enough. Play within it, and you'll be successful. And I think Coach Allen, he understands, that. He understands that they're going to try to get him some easy completion. They're going to try to make sure that his jersey doesn't get dirty. And from a defensive standpoint, you got to do everything you can to make him uncomfortable. Give him looks that he hasn't seen. Be able to get there in terms of that pass rush and get his jersey dirty. Have him rattled in the pocket. Don't give him time to set his feet to go through his first, second, and then get to that third read in terms of his progressions. Like, he should never be able to do that. If you want to really, set a standard and a tone to make him uncomfortable and to really get that offense, out of rhythm. Because if you let him get comfortable and he starts building confidence, he has the weapons to make it a long night for the Chicago Bears defense.
The Corsairs. Yes, they're playing tomorrow. You're by the way, while you're in season, J-Mack, you're still recruiting, right? For next year? Are you recruiting next? At least thinking about next year as well?
Yeah, I mean, it's weird because people look at Catholic schools and they're like, oh, you can recruit, you can go get whatever players you want and this and that. Well, here's the thing, like, there's a tuition here involved, and whatever kid that has the luxury of wanting to come to the school, they got to pay tuition. And I tell everybody, well, guess what? If I was able to recruit, well, guess what? All my players, they'd be a little different. A lot of my guys would have dreads because I'd be going back home to Florida. a lot of my guys would have a little. They would talk with a little Southern twang because I'd be going to Texas.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
You know what I mean? So that's just honesty. I think it's more so about development in this league.
Yeah.
The Catholic Conference is one of the best conferences in the state. A lot of great programs, a lot of history that are being coached by a lot of great coaches. And I love the fact that every Friday in the Catholic Conference is like a playoff game. It's a playoff environment, and I get to go head-to-head with a coach that's been at a program for years. And, you get to try to coach against them. Like, it doesn't get any better. And that's the conference that we're in. It's just a testament to all the great coaches out there that's running great programs that do a lot of work. And, a lot of people don't see what goes on behind closed doors. We're the head coach, you're the equipment manager, you're a father, you're a big brother, you're ordering the helmet decals, you're sitting in helmets and shoulder pads for reconditioning. So, being a high school coach, I've actually gained, not that I didn't have respect for Tony Bedlin, the Bears equipment manager, but
yeah.
I've gained a whole new level of respect because now I got to call him and be like, T-Med, what type of helmets do I need? Or what type of knee pads do I need to get? Because, as a professional, we always had that stuff laying in our locker. Oh, I just need knee pads, need gloves. But now you're actually doing those things. So it's a huge responsibility in terms of a high school coach because you don't have the support staff that you would have on a collegiate or NFL level. But at the same time, there's nothing better than being able to change a young man that sets foot in your program from a freshman and then to see him walk across that stage as a senior and be able to, be going to college. It doesn't have to be on an athletic scholarship. It could be an academic scholarship, but him being the first person in his family to go to college, you know what I mean? So that's the biggest reward that I get out of this. And there's no amount of money that you can put on that type of feeling when you see that result happen.
Yeah, I'm coming to a game because I need to call a play. But
Come
I've
on, man.
sent you a play. You said but it was a black and white film, and you didn't want that play. I was.
Come on. I got you, man. I got, come on, man.
Oh.
Pick one.
Somewhere down the bottom, something off platform. I'm gonna pick something from 1971. You're gonna be like, yeah, I can run that play. It takes care of the olds in the stands. Like I haven't seen that play since Namath.
Yeah, my biggest thing that hoodie that I've had to, going to the games and being around the team and being at practice and watching the game and coaches at the NFL level being so creative, and now we have Ben Johnson who's super creative. I see those plays and I'm like, I want to run that, but I got to realize that hey, it's high school kids, and yes, we have kids that have a ton of athleticism, but I don't have as much time to install these plays and to work on them like they do up there at Atlas Hall. So I have to sometimes scale it back, and I'm throwing out plays and throwing out terminology. My players are looking at me like, "Coach, you okay today? We don't know what that means." So I've got to understand. I've got to sometimes scale it back as well.
J-Mack, I'm glad you spent some time with us, man. I just wanted to make sure that everyone knew that they could always come to support you and your program with the Corsairs. And, of course, you're killing it on the Bears Radio Network. And we'll hear you with Jeff Joniak and Tom Thayer as we get ready again for the regular season, Bears and Vikings on Monday night. So I'm glad you spent some time.
No, thank you, Hoodie. Anytime, man. You're my guy. And bear down. I'm excited. But we got to get this W first, and then we'll talk about the Bears on Monday night.
That's exactly right, man. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you.
Always great to hear from our guy, Jason McKie from the Chicago Bears Radio Network, as well as, he is our favorite fullback, the head coach for the Carmel Corsairs. He is loving being a high school football coach in the Chicagoland area. And if you're in the area, make sure you support Jason McKie. It's always good to talk to him as well here Under the Hood with Jonathan Hood. And, of course, we are presented by Manscaped, manscaped.com. Save 20%. Use my last name Hood, Hood. And again, for those that need some below the waist grooming, it's got a whole kit in there. It's got a shaver for down there. It's got some good smell good, like ball deodorant. Yes, actual ball deodorant, so you could smell good and look good down there as well. Manscaped.com, and use my code HOOD and save 20% when you go to the website. A couple of things I want to talk about, and that is there are 3 games I'm interested in for week 1 of the National Football League because football is back. And on Under the Hood with Jonathan Hood, we're going to do our damnedest to give you the best in college football coverage. We have a special guest coming up on Friday here for Under the Hood, and if you listen on the podcast, it's going to be the next podcast because Friday we got a very special guest to get ready for week 2 for college football. But week 1 of the NFL, there's some interesting games here. So let's take a look here. First of all, number 1, Dallas against Philadelphia. That is the first game that will take place on Thursday night. I believe that Philly will win the ball game. I think Dallas could keep it closer than the 7 that I've seen. Philadelphia, they are the champions, and they are just completely stacked. I think that Dallas is going to take a little bit of a step back this year. As a matter of fact, I'm not sure they're going to make the playoffs this year. Micah Parsons is a huge, huge factor for the Dallas Cowboys, and now he was traded by Jerry Jones and Stephen Jones, and now he's a Green Bay Packer. I think that the Dallas Cowboys are going to still lack the pass rush that they really want to have on that defensive line. Micah Parsons, when healthy, is a hell of a ball player. And so I think that Dallas takes a step back this year. Philadelphia wins the ball game outright. Another game is Buffalo against Baltimore. That's a Sunday night football game. Buffalo, I have winning the Super Bowl because if not now, when for the Buffalo Bills? Honestly, I think that this matchup against Baltimore will tell a great story, right? Because Lamar Jackson, two-time MVP, you know that in the regular season, Baltimore can get it done. Now, when the lights shine brightest for the Ravens, they just seem to shrink up. They just don't win enough big games in the playoffs. And so I believe Buffalo will find a way to win this ball game coming up. Josh Allen very well could be MVP again. And I think that if it's not going to be this year, then I don't know if Buffalo will ever win it. They've made some changes along the way with star players like Stephon Diggs and others, and they've been able to move on and just try to get the right rhythm and the right chemistry. And I think that Buffalo this year will be able to get that done. I like the Bills to win that game. And then the other one is the Jets against the Steelers. I know, right? So it's Aaron Rodgers, and I think this is last chance you for Aaron Rodgers, meaning that this might be his last stop in the National Football League. He's not calling for retirement, but it's funny how Aaron Rodgers and his career is parallel to Brett Favre in some ways because Brett didn't know when to retire, went to the Vikings, went to the Jets. It's just funny how Brett Favre could never retire, could not let it go. And I think Aaron Rodgers is in the same way. When Rodgers is upright and healthy, he's not bad. He's not great anymore. There was a time where he was a great quarterback. He's definitely a Hall of Famer. One of the I guess I would say top 10 quarterbacks in my lifetime based on what he's been able to do. He's able to knock down one championship just like his guy Brett Favre when they were both in Green Bay. And I think that when healthy, I think he can help the Steelers win. I'm not sure if the Steelers can get over 500 or try to be a winning ball club this year. This might be the one time where Mike Tomlin may not be able to overcome the quarterback play. I think Aaron Rodgers, when healthy, can be good. Can he be great again? I'm not sure if he can. So the Steelers, and on the other side with the Jets, well, there's our guy Justin Fields, right? Justin Fields, who has been around this league now since his time with the Chicago Bears. And the thing with Justin is that he's a hell of an athlete. He can run with the football. We've seen the athleticism even in a Bears uniform. I would just say for Justin Fields is that, man, if you cannot get the ball out quicker than 2 seconds in this league, that you're going to get crushed. I'm not sure if the Jets have the infrastructure yet to be able to protect Justin Fields. It's not necessarily always on him. It's also on the offense and the offensive line. But Justin has to have that clock in his head that he's got to get the ball out quickly. And in any place that he's been, that's been a problem. And so hopefully with the Jets, and because he's tenured now, he realizes that, hey, man, you got to get the ball out. With the Steelers, he had every opportunity to just have that job. And even Justin said, I didn't do well enough to hold on to that job, and it was relinquished to Russell Wilson. So that's the whole thing with Justin. Justin has athleticism, but can Justin Fields be able to elevate the Jets? I don't think that he is going to be the quarterback for the long haul if he cannot let the ball loose. He does have an arm that can get down the field, but he is checked down Charlie a lot too, where he throws a 3-yard pass, 6-yard pass when you're trying to get 10 or 11. So that's got to get better for Justin Fields and the Jets there. So those are 3 games in particular I keep my eyes on, along with the Bears in a matchup against the Minnesota Vikings. And so let us take a look at another story that we're going to get to here, and that is regarding what is happening with Kawhi Leonard and Steve Ballmer. Okay, let's talk about this for a second. Because when I saw this come across, I said, what in the heck is going on? So Pablo Torre has been killing it. And let me just get back on camera here and just tell you that journalism is not dead. Journalism is not dead, not by a long shot, because I know whether it's news or whether it's sports, you're just trying to figure out, okay, so what can I trust? What source can I trust? Because there's a lot of bots and a lot of AI and a lot of stuff that's just not true when it comes to journalism. And so I think that when you are digging in on a story and digging in, you show you have multiple sources, not stuff that's made up, but actual multiple sources that are giving you information, and you have the testicular fortitude to put that story out there. I mean, give credit to Pablo Torre because he's done some great work here, not with this story, but others. But this story comes from The Athletic. The investigation about the Clippers, Kawhi Leonard, and the owner Steve Ballmer has come to a head here. The investigation comes after a report on Wednesday by Pablo Torre Finds Out, that's his podcast, about allegations made by former employees of the environmental company Aspiration, which was partly funded by Clippers owner Steve Ballmer. The employees allege, according to documents provided by Torre, that the company arranged large payments to Leonard under the condition that he plays for the Clippers. NBA teams are prohibited from paying players using outside arrangements. Torre reported on his podcast on Wednesday that 7 anonymous former employees for Aspiration told him that Leonard received a 4-year, $28 million endorsement deal in 2022. Torre said that he could not find any evidence of Leonard promoting the company on a social media post, photographs, or appearances. The Athletic found one social media post from the Clippers tagging both Aspiration and Leonard, who did not like or retweet the post. Teams and players found to circumvent the salary cap can face penalties for a first offense, such as a team fine of $7.5 million, direct forfeiture of draft picks. That means they would get rid of their draft picks totally. The voiding of players' contracts, including renegotiations, extensions, or amendments. A player fined up to $350,000 in suspension for team personnel and more. So that's a story from The Athletic regarding what is going on here with Kawhi Leonard and Steve Ballmer. Okay, number one, if the league is going to take away draft picks from the Clippers, that won't do any good because the Oklahoma City Thunder has all their picks. Okay, this is one of the reasons why they won the championship is that not only did they win the championship, but their future's so bright because they got 1 million draft picks thanks to Sam Presti, their general manager. But the kidding aside, regarding this investigation, so Kawhi Leonard did not even like a post, did not retweet a post regarding this aspiration. Now the Clippers have fired back and said, "Hey, Steve Ballmer was taken to the cleaners with this deal. He didn't know what was going on here, so there's no way that the Clippers, paid $28 million to Kawhi Leonard through this aspiration deal." If I'm Adam Silver, it's about time for Adam to be able to have some testicular fortitude. It's time for Adam Silver, the commissioner of the NBA, to look at this story. And if it is true that the Clippers paid Kawhi Leonard that kind of money to get around salary cap issues because they have so many players making so much money, what you do is that there has to be repercussions against the owner. And I understand why Steve Ballmer's with the Clippers is because the former owner was a racist. And that person has a problem against Magic Johnson. And so they got rid of that owner to have Steve Ballmer in place. And if Ballmer's doing something, a fine's not going to get it done. I see it says here like a $7.5 million team fine, forfeiture of draft picks, and avoiding a player's contract, all that stuff. Like Kawhi Leonard is toward the tail end of his career. He's had so many injuries. He's never going to be, to me, the same player he's with the San Antonio Spurs or the Toronto Raptors. So that to the side. Something must happen to the owner. If it is true that Ballmer did this, then should Ballmer still be the owner of the Clippers? See, that's when it hurts. Money, I mean, look how much money that Ballmer's made with Microsoft. He's fine financially. But ultimately, it's about trying to hurt the actual owner. That way, something like this doesn't happen again. And now we come to find out that there might be a look into the New York Knicks because of the Jalen Brunson deal. That's been out there as well, that maybe Pablo Torre and others will take a look at that story from The Athletic and from Meadowlark Media. Man, that's crazy. That's crazy if that's the case. Listen, everyone should be playing at the same level, at the same level when it comes to being able to negotiate these contracts, finding aspiration, finding pennies underneath the cushions, trying to find a way to pay these players is not the way to go, because you will be found out, like Pablo Torre found out. So if it's true, maybe Ballmer shouldn't be in the league anymore. But like sunsetting the franchise or closing the franchise, that's not happening. I saw that written that maybe the Clippers should close down because of this. No, that won't happen. Two teams in Los Angeles mean a lot to the NBA, like two teams in New York and multiple teams in Texas, multiple teams in Florida. So that matters to the league to have that many teams are around, multiple teams in a state around the league. But as far as Steve Ballmer, I think that Adam Silver, the commissioner of the NBA, should look long and hard to find out whether or not Ballmer still belongs to be in the NBA. Money won't hurt, but kicking Ballmer out the league, if that's a possibility, phew, that would send shockwaves around the NBA, because I think that Adam Silver at times as commissioner can be somewhat soft. So we will see how that all works out. And again, we are brought to you by Manscaped, manscaped.com. Save 20% by using the promo code HOOD, HOOD. Thank you so much for supporting the podcast as well as what we do on YouTube. Our YouTube is growing. Thank you so much for that. Really appreciate you helping us grow our YouTube. And we always have shorts. If there's some stuff on my mind, I definitely hit that record button. And I love your responses as well. Like, share, and subscribe what we do on YouTube. And also check us out on the podcast, Under the Hood with me, Jonathan Hood. All right, we'll talk some college football for our next podcast. Going to keep this consistent, talking Chicago sports and everything else that's going on Under the Hood with Jonathan Hood. And don't forget, we're on 6 to 9 a.m. Central Time on the Kap J-Hood Morning Show. If you're listening and watching, thanks for your support. I'm celebrating, as I mentioned on the video post, 20 years at ESPN Chicago, 34 years in the business. And I'm on at 6 a.m., the apex right now. When you're at 6 a.m., that's the top of the top. We were 7 to 10 for a long time, now 6 a.m. It does make a difference. More people stuck in traffic, pissed off because they're trying to get to work. Well, now we're with you for that angry drive at 6 a.m. So thanks so much, everybody, for checking out Under the Hood with me, Jonathan Hood. So long, everybody.